I literally have, like, in my thick item case, I literally have a bunch of just hex grids and slicks that I haven't touched because I don't. Whenever I wear them, I just pretty much insta die, and it's irrelevant.
It just makes getting one tap to the head by M61 feel worse.
Yeah, and I kill groups of Giga Chads by wearing the fucking level 4 scav rat rig that everybody gives me shit for, and it's like because it doesn't matter because they're using M61, so my armor is made of butter. Yeah, I'd rather have shitty butter than a really expensive butter. You know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life with a huge focus on the first-person shooter Escape from Tarkov. I'm one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam.
And I'm Giggles McGee, the greatest fucking Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time speedrunner.
I'm so pissed.
Literally on planet Earth after 550-something people.
And I wonder if you have... I wonder what your rank would be on a list of total noobs to sub 25 minute.
Oh,
right? Like there's not any.
How good am I as a fucking noob?
Learner? Yeah, not as like a. Of course, you're 500th for the record because those 499 guys have spent ran 10,000 times. But how many has anyone else gone from literally never speedrunning a game before to sub 25?
Probably.
That'd be interesting. I would be interested to know it. But yeah, dude. So last week you were frustrated because you spent a whole day doing it. Then a few days later, I popped into your stream and I saw that your record was 25:03, and I was like, oh. And then I popped in the other day, or I was looking through my Twitch and your stream title was like that you did it. And I was like, oh shoot, how long did it take you? Did you just hop on and rip your best run ever? Or were you grinding for a few hours?
It took a few hours. I did, I did a total of about 120 attempts.
Okay. Officially recorded attempts.
Officially recorded, yeah. And well, that's a little high because a lot of them were just if you accidentally hit the button and you just restart, it increments it. So
yeah,
I don't know. I probably did about 100 runs, and I finished 19. So, which is actually not bad. I was talking to Danny B again, because I interviewed him for the video that I'm working on, and he was saying 10% is pretty good. Once you get to a certain point, it's this run isn't good enough to continue.
Yeah, you
start
just know,
over.
Yeah.
So I gone from not finishing at all for 80 runs to then in one day I got a 24:45, then a 24:30, then a 24:20. No, sorry. Wait. I said that wrong. 25:45.
Okay. You were working towards sub 25.
Yeah, I got 4 PBs that were all 25 plus, culminating with the worst run ever that was a 25:03. Literally the first trick of the run, normally I do it in one try. It took me a minute.
Oh.
I was a minute behind, and I was just I just want to play. Fuck it, I'm just going to continue. And then everything was just fast after that.
Dang.
So the interesting part was that every time after that, every run, I want to beat my PB. And if you beat 25:03, chances are you're going to beat 25.
You're going to beat 25, yeah.
And it was I hit the button on the first split after I've done mediocre and I'm a minute and 20 seconds ahead or whatever. It's holy shit. So literally it's just green the whole way through. And all I needed to do was finish a run. And for a couple of days I couldn't. I kept fucking all of the places in which you can kill a run where it's not salvageable. I did until I was on really good pace. And then Richard Sage came in. Richard Sage is the world record holder,
world record holder, number one,
1640 something is his time.
God.
And he's just been super awesome. And I before this he was just a name on the leaderboard. To me it's just world record is Richard Sage. I have no fucking idea who he is. And then one day, I think I maybe said this last episode. One day someone said something. And I'm no, I'm not the world record holder. Like, what do you mean? And then I realized they were asking the dude in chat because I looked at the name and I'm like, oh, shit. So then I actually spent the time to like check out their stream and watch the videos, and just a really fucking cool, down to earth guy. Amazingly talented. He's got like 16,000 attempts at this particular thing. He's just super cool. He came in and was like, "You got this, bro."
Bro.
Right at the end, the thing he did, because like he's like, whenever I'm nervous and I'm on like world record pace, there's like the final scene has like a minute cutscene before you actually fight Ganon. So he like gets up and he does push-ups because he's like, it just gets the blood flowing, it gets like my nerves, it just like loosens me up. So I'm like, as a meme, I'm like, fuck it, we're doing push-ups. I went back and like 4 seconds later I walk back, I'm like huffing and puffing, I did 3 push-ups. I'm like I fucking got this. And I did it.
Incredible, dude. That's so sick. The sub 25 has happened, and now with a world record holder as an audience member. Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. And I had chat overlaid too on the speed runs because that's always cool to see chat. Like as soon as you hit it, chat just fucking blows up and everybody's awesome.
Yep. That's so
but sick. Yeah, so now I think I finally figured out what my next game is going to be, and it's similar but different, than I was planning on doing, and I'm actually really excited.
Have you announced it yet or no?
I'm announcing it right now. Have you heard of a little game called GoldenEye 007?
Dude. Yes.
Because you haven't heard about what I'm about to tell you. I just found out about this yesterday because I ended up rating Carl Jobst, who's a content creator, another awesome dude. He makes tons of speedrunning videos. He's just like a speedrun historian. He makes awesome shit. He also plays guitar and stuff too. He's a cool dude. They, like 10 years ago, Rare Software was working on an Xbox 360 remake of GoldenEye 007. Like not remastered, remastered, but not like it's the identical game with just better graphics on a new system, like all the same mechanics. It wasn't like they actually made like a GoldenEye Reloaded or something that was more like Call of Duty. Yeah. But they faced tons of legal issues trying to get licensing from all the different, and so it just died. It never went anywhere, and they never made the game, except it was like 98% done. A month ago, it got leaked, released. I don't know. No. So now you can emulate Xbox 360 on your PC, and you can run GoldenEye with keyboard and mouse on PC with updated graphics. And the best part is that the two annoying parts about GoldenEye were shitty graphics, or at least for content creator, shitty graphics, and the fact that it's so laggy that so much of the speedruns you're looking at the ground so that like it doesn't have to render anything. Otherwise you're just like, really? And that makes it kind of lame, right? Like you're watching a speedrun where someone's just staring at the ground.
For 70% of the run. Interesting.
Yeah, but actually there's like 2 other awesome things. The other thing is that shooters are always janky with controller. So now I get to play and have the precision of like mouse and keyboard, get the nostalgia of a game with updated graphics that runs a lot better. And then the final thing is that it's like, because it's like a month old, the leaderboards for all the individual levels are like empty. So this is my chance to actually sneak in and get a world record on something that there's no competition for before anybody.
Seriously. or at least be a part of the crew who's like getting in early at it. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool. Like, it'll be cool for you to experience a version of speedrunning where maybe you're up on the leaderboard for like a level and then you wake up the next day and you're bumped down. Like, that'll be a cool, like, because there's like hype around a category or a game or a something. Yeah. So, dude, that's...
And the cool thing about GoldenEye is that the time it's not, you don't use like a XSplit timer. Like, it has the in-game time. You get to the end and there's like the manila folders. So it says like that's the time that you go for. So you're really only fighting for like the next second down. So I was doing the first thing, Damn on Agent. Like the easy difficulty first map. I think I have to check again. I think it was like 51 seconds is like what, there's 3 people on the leaderboard and it's like 51, 52, 52. It's like that's it. And I did like 4 or 5 quick runs right before I started the stream. I wanted to download it and get it running and stuff, and it was like 55 seconds, and I'm like, huh. It's a really small map.
Yeah.
The cool part is that you can grind it. It's just a minute, right? So I can actually like grind it and kind of chill, and it's not like it's, you know.
Yeah, you're not worried about 60% of the way through throwing the run and then resetting the whole thing. Like, that's dope.
So then you can grind one, and then, you know, until you get it or give up, and then choose something else. So I'm looking forward to that. I just have no idea. Like I was literally doing exactly what the dude I was watching was doing, and somehow he was 4 seconds. So now I'm like, I gotta now figure out what the fuck he's doing, you know?
Yep.
Is it because he's looking that direction? Is it because he randomly shoots a couple times? I'm like, is that for a fucking reason, or is it just because he's bored? So got to do some science. We'll see.
That's cool, man. That's dope. Have you tried the Tarkov speedrun thing yet? The Dan Giesling?
No.
Dude, I kind of am sad that didn't take off more than it did. I want to see everybody. I want to see like Deadly try it and just everybody. I thought it was funny. That's cool though.
Maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll do an episode of it at some point.
Yeah. Later down. That's cool. That's really cool. How's the raids been? How's Tarkov been? I saw you get out of that fatty shoreline immersion run. I came in at the end, so I don't know if you killed one guy or if you.
I did 3 immersion runs today. First one was on customs, and I went and looted marked room, got a MK18.
They're all over marked rooms, by the way.
Yeah, and then I heard some gunfire over by Old Gas. Ran all the way over there, was playing slow, playing tactically, all of a sudden I went up to the train tracks, heard some footsteps. I'm like, okay, over by the train. I'm like ready for him. He just peeks out, and I had a pretty decked out Vepr 136 with BP. Dude peeked out, and I'm like, pop, and I just die. Like, I was ready for him, but apparently he must have seen me or heard me.
Yeah.
And he just one taps me in the head. He was using FMJ, and I had the exfil helmet. No, not the exfil, the Wendy.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's a good thing I was wearing a slick and a fucking Wendy helmet, right? Just to get one domed. When I was standing there holding an angle with a rifle, and he was run strafing with an SMG, it's like,
feels good.
I just gotta play a whole W simulator somewhere, I guess. Then the next raid after that, it was like the same kind of thing. Just running around for about 20 minutes, try to reposition. Randomly, a dude jumps out of a bush when I'm on like a super long flank and I die. And then the shoreline run, I loot all of like East Wing, don't see anybody, don't hear anybody. And then I'm over by that middle bridge and I hear just a stampede of footsteps. And right as the dudes are running across the bridge, I just sidestep and just hold fucking mouse one. And I had M61 in a like a decked out foul. And I just mowed them both down, and they were both, you know, hex grid Wendy helmets with meta fouls also.
And so they probably looted up West Wing, so they probably had loot on them. Yeah.
So, and then it took me 4.5 years to just run onto the exfil.
You had literally one little movement dot. Like, you were as heavy as you could be. Like,
I don't know. So it's just like, that's Tarkov for me now these days, I guess.
Now that I have like Kappa and I'm just kind of like chilling out and like grinding for elite strength and endurance and stuff like that, I've been leaning into the Shift W just for the memes, really. And I'm surprised at how many times I come out on top. Like, it's crazy. The game just really rewards that.
Just playing recklessly, basically.
Like absolutely recklessly. Like, for me, most of the time it's not tactical, it's reckless. Like, a lot of my coolest clips that I've gotten in the past few days that I'm like sending over to my brother because he edits my highlight videos are clips where either my teammate is dead and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go push these guys and die.
Yeah, YOLO.
To get back to the lobby, and I like, you know, end up coming out of the raid super thick, or I'm just like memeing. Like, there were 2 guys on the roof of resort, and I literally was just like, I popped a Propital and just was like, ran all the way up. Like, they had every opportunity to hear me running all the way up the metal stairs on the outside up to the roof, and I just hopped in. And I was like, brr, brr. And it's like, damn, this is why people do this. It's actually better. I don't know.
Oh, God, maybe that's why. So I played a bunch of yesterday. I played basically like half labs, half factory.
Okay.
And the best raid I had on labs was, it was like a 1v2 v3. I was just like spraying bullets, getting pinned down, reposition. I do this whole giant flank from like red keycard room all the way around, past through like the gym, up the side stairs where like the refrigerator is, all the way around to where you press the button for the whatever that main fucking entrance is.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm coming from the side door there, of course, I clear all that area, and I come to the garage door to peek out until where all the loot is and everything. And then all of a sudden, the fucking raiders spawned in that little room right on the other side of the doors. So now I went from like a 900 IQ flank around to being like, now I'm behind these guys, to then all of a sudden now have to turn and shoot, and now I'm pinned
between them and raiders.
So it's like, even when if I had ran in and died, people would have been like, you gotta fucking flank, dude. You gotta like throw grenades, and you gotta do. And I'm like, I do that, and then I still get fucked. Yeah. You know, because of the dumbass spawns, where it's like, what's the point of trying to get map control and clearing areas if you can clear it and then they can just teleport into it? You know what I mean?
Spawn in out of nowhere. Yep.
But then on factory, it was like 6 raids, wipe the lobby, die, because I'm in there for like 30 minutes and I'm just trying to kill every player scab that I possibly can, and I because I'm just bored. And then 6 raids, I survive and kill everybody. It's like, maybe it's because on factory I just feel so comfortable to YOLO that works, because I'm trying to figure 100%. Out why I survive. Why factory it's a completely different game. And even if I'm playing against, even if like the 4 dog tags I get are level 44, 58, 53, and 47. Like, I guess maybe they're bad level 58s. Sure, you could say that, but it's like,
I think there's something
is it
to
me
that.
Or is it them?
No, I think there's something to that. Like, you have played so much factory that like in a split second you can just go for like a YOLO push on somebody, and just like in an absolute split second you can know the 3 different ways to make that push, which one's the best way, make it, and then not give the game time to cuck you by spawning in more player scavs or something like that. Whereas when I watch people who play reserve, they do that, and all of my clips recently have been from Shoreline, because that's basically what I main, where it's like, I guess I bet there's something to that. On maps that are bigger, if you try to make longer flanks, it's more of exactly an opportunity. Because of the way the spawns work, there aren't spawn closets. It's just literal, actual, you can see them appear in front of you.
Yeah, you can be you can flank around and still be surrounded.
It's super frustrating. So yeah, that's
factory
an interesting
have more control
thing.
And more confidence. And even labs, like, I'm confident in labs against raiders to some extent, but not against players anymore, just because it's so often that they're cheaters. Yeah. That like anytime I hear footsteps, I'm like, they know where I am. If I peek them, I'm insta dead. Yeah. So I'm like being really careful, and then I'm the passive one that's getting quick peeked and insta killed. Yeah. Whereas on factory, I'm holding W and just maybe I need to do a couple like customs runs or something, and I just fucking hold W. Yeah. Get like an MP7 and just fucking YOLO.
Yep. It's crazy. Me and a buddy tried to do some labs the other night, dude, and we spawned in the same spot both times, where like down in the corner where you can like run up the staircase and there's the LEDX by the computer, and then you're in the server room, and my buddy had green key card, so the LEDX wasn't there. It's like, let's go to green. We're right here, and he's unlocking green. We hear a stampede of people coming around the corner. One guy whips around the corner. Gunk, GL's my friend. He's dead. I kill him. I knew he had a buddy. The buddy whips around the corner. Gunk, GL's me. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, let's run it back. That, like, we didn't die to cheaters. They're rocking some GLs. And we run it back, and I have a 45 vector. And we spawned the same spot. We did the same thing. I was like, let's just get right to green. He's swiping the card. I'm hearing somebody running up the spiral staircase. I'm like, okay, this guy's about to push. He swings. He has an ult and then a slick. I land. The game tells me I land 21 shots, and then he kills me, and then immediately my friend. And I was like, you know what? Let's go play Shoreline. And it was just like, we didn't even die to cheaters. It was just, I hate how Labs plays now. You don't have to bring armor, you don't have to bring anything, but you have to bring meta guns and ammo. You have to. Because, like, I'm the guy that makes YouTube videos about, like, use this gun, because how often do you run into guys with slicks and Altons? On Labs, it's every raid. You have to have meta guns and ammo to be proficient. Like if you're going to PvP at all. And I was just like,
or it's a naked dude with a stock gun filled with meta ammo.
M61, yeah. And so it's like, and then all of the fights, I say this all the time, all of the fights either happen at green, directly below it at black, or directly below it in the basement by that elevator. 97% of all fights on labs between players happen in 4% of the map of just that vertical slice. Those 3 hallways. That's it. And
or in outside of red.
Or yeah. So it's like,
because all too often one person goes in there and then someone else is like ready to go into red.
Exactly.
And you're just pinned. They try to jump out the window. They just throw nades in.
So I just like, I every once in a while I do it. I'm like, man, I miss labs so much. Let's rock it. And then I'm just like, even when I don't die to cheaters, I just don't like the way that it plays. And it makes me sad because I used to make flanks. I used to, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, I can go down and up here and then come across and he's not going to know. You stay there and hold. But it's just everybody's in one spot. And it's like, I don't blame them. It's where it's, I mean, think about all the loot that's in green and in black and then raiders spawn right below you. Like you can walk out of there with 100 kilograms worth of loot in 7 minutes. It's like, I get why people do it. I'm not saying that they should stop doing it. They're farming money. They're getting PvP. It's the new factory. It's just not the labs I want to play. So you do you, but I'll probably stick to Shoreline and Customs. You know what I mean? So it's...
Yep.
But, so we had a podcast. I don't know if it was impromptu. It felt impromptu to me. It was Red 7, which, he does a lot of stuff like this, like community. He gets a bunch of streamers and does cool stuff where they have really interesting conversations. And Nikita was on, so you know what that means. It just becomes a Let's Ask Nikita Questions show, which is understandable. So we got quite a bit of information about the state of Tarkov and what's coming and stuff like that. He was saying the big thing, I immediately DM'd you this when I saw it, but Steam Audio is coming back in 12.10. So
yeah, he told me that. He told me that in one of our messages a few weeks back.
I'm excited about that. And I'm hoping, like, because we don't really know, we just know that something happened between Unity and Steam Audio, and it's been a long time. It feels like it's been a long time. So I'm hoping that that means that whatever it is like actually cleared up. You know what I mean? And it won't come back super buggy. You know what I mean? That it's like, all right, like.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding was like literally it was. It's like, imagine if you have a radio in a car. Nothing's wrong with the radio, nothing's wrong with the car. They're just, the wires aren't connected right.
Yeah.
And it's taken them this long to get the right adapter to connect them again. But it should be, like, my understanding is that it should be back to where it was before.
Yeah.
Where
which
we had
imperfect,
HRTF.
yeah, but is, in my opinion,
better than what we have now.
Much better than what we have now.
It's still buggy, but in most places, if you hear sound, you'll be able to localize it correctly.
Yeah.
Whether you hear sound or not is up to Tarkov's non-Steam Audio portion.
Exactly. Like a way oversimplification of it is that I try to tell people is like, don't look at it as new audio. Look at it as Steam Audio just fixes 4 of the 10 bugs. So it's not Steam Audio's fault when you don't hear the guy running up the stairs. That's just the Tarkov audio. But Steam Audio is helping to address these things and make it better. I know that that's way oversimplifying it, but people have that in their brain where they're like, well, I switched to Steam Audio and I didn't hear the guy run up the stairs. It's like, that's not Steam Audio. That's just Tarkov audio. You know what I mean? So
yeah, Steam Audio is like an effects pedal that you plug your guitar into, where if your pickups are broken, you don't blame your effects pedal,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
If something comes out of your effects pedal that's shitty, it's possible that it's the effects pedal.
Yeah.
But it's also, in this case, we know that it's not Steam Audio because Steam Audio is used by a million things. They get,
yep.
It's not impossible, but we do know that our, metaphorical guitar here, i.e. Tarkov's audio,
yes,
has issues where
it
cuts in and out. Yeah, it gives us static and it cuts in and out, and it doesn't sound good in stairwells.
Yeah.
So it's just post-processing that takes the sound and makes it so that it properly localizes it vertically, front and back, everything like that. But not hearing audio, it's completely separate.
Yeah.
So
12.10 Steam Audio coming back, small stuff, nothing crazy, some quality of life stuff, some optimizations, a little bit of new stuff. They teased like a 9mm AR that's coming. I don't know the brand name of it or anything, but they showed
semi-auto.
Yeah, a semi.
Right?
It's like a 9mm DMR, I guess, because it's semi-auto and it's an AR, but it's
that's weird.
Super interesting.
I don't know where the fuck that would fit.
I don't either. I mean, I think like they talked about guns a little bit, and I think from this point on, basically nobody at Battle State Games is asking where it fits. They're just gun nerds. Because he was talking about that we want to double the amount of guns that are in the game, which is very like nobody could say that that's needed. Like nobody's saying that for balance purposes, we really need a caliber like this or something like that.
They want all the guns. They want all the guns.
And so whenever people are like, why are they adding that? It's like, follow Nikita on Instagram. He's at the range every other day just shooting guns. Dude loves guns. Whole team loves guns. Like they're just going to put them all in.
They should just turn this into a platform for 3D gun modeling
they could license out the models and animations that they have to like freaking Call of Duty, bro. It's top notch.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just they're just going to bring them all in, which I like because I like using off-meta stuff, you know what I mean? And like making something weird effective. So I'm going to use them all, but most of them will go radically underutilized because they're just adding them for guns. Now today on Twitter and Instagram, they teased the SCAR, the 308 SCAR. They didn't say anything other than like, here are pictures. It's coming soon.
It's on their Twitter, you said?
Yeah, I think. Yeah. They posted on Twitter. A tan and a dark version. I think they were both 7.62x5.1 though. I don't think, because people were talking about adding the 5.56 ones, but I think they're both. It's just the tan.
Oh god, it looks good. The SCAR was one of my favorite guns in Modern Warfare 2.
I love the SCAR. So.
I love. Why did I click on this? Maybe instead of making new models for guns in the game, you should fix your server. God damn it! Why did I click and read?
Now I'm depressed.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah. No, those people make me so sad. So 12.10, relatively small. Steam Audio's coming back. Some new guns. I don't think the SCAR's coming in 12.10, although that'd be dope. He also talked about potentially increasing the price of the clothing to make them rarer, which I found like a weird thing, but whatever. They talked for a little bit about the server stability with what's going on. They've been so he enlightened us to this, that they've been under like some serious attacks recently, which is kind of not surprising given just like the popularity of the game, and anytime like a big streamer plays it, Lupo's been playing it a ton and stuff like that. But that a lot of the downtime we've been experiencing have been due to them trying to like when they were talking about modernizing the servers, it's less about like game performance and more about protecting from the attacks that have been happening. So I don't know anything about that kind of stuff, but it was just interesting, and for a guy like me, it's helpful to know what's going on behind the scenes and like why they're doing certain stuff. And so
I wonder. The one thing that kind of like put a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth and kind of had me grumbling for the rest of the podcast was I was watching One Peg streaming it while I was editing some video.
Yeah.
He ended up asking about kind of like the client auth versus server auth, and it was a good question, slightly clumsily, like I would ask it, not perfectly asked. Where that Nikita like responded with like, oh no, the servers are server authoritative.
Yeah.
Like you're completely wrong. And he made a comment that was something along the lines of like, there's some people in the media that talk about that have said otherwise, which I kind of feel like that's why Fluvin's been giving me shit lately. Every time he's like, yo, what's up, dog? You're the media. I'm like,
oh no.
But it's like, what I said, I still have no reason to think that everything I said wasn't correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So even if like he answered the question and what he said was true, you can if I ask you what your favorite color is and you say 2 + 2 = 4, you answered a question and you're correct, but it wasn't the right.
Yeah.
Like it misses the point.
Yeah. So it's like
the point being that the server doesn't.
Yeah.
There's not only is there no smoothing or interpolation with the client movement, but the server might be the authority, but at no point, like, authority is only useful if it uses that authority.
Yeah.
And at no point does it ever go, you go back there.
Yeah. And so I'm interested, like, based on like what you've talked with Nikita, like watching him answer questions, like, do you think it's like wires being crossed and like that, where it's like he's thinking a different question is getting answered, or do you think he's like avoiding giving a flat response about the portions of the game that are client authoritative? Like,
I don't know.
You know what I mean? That would just be a complete guesstimate by you, but just like, because like you were saying, if like there's a language barrier, the question was a great question, but maybe not asked 100%. Like, do you think he's leaning into that to try to avoid talking about it? Or do you think he's just like actually like, no, I know what you're talking about and it's not that way?
So I'll try and not do what I hate that people do to me, and that is assume the reasoning or whatever behind something. I can think of two of the more likely explanations, or maybe three. One of them being that he genuinely thinks that the problem is something else.
Yeah.
So he's just like, no. Like, he thinks he knows what the problem is, so kind of brushes off what I'm saying and, disregards it. And he might be right, or I might be right. I don't think there's a world where we can both be right on this particular thing.
Yeah.
Because he's effectively saying, no, that's not the problem. We know what the problem is, and we're fixing it. Okay. I guess all we can do is wait.
Yeah, exactly. It's like in that universe, you can't both be right. It's not saying that. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So then the other one is that what I'm saying is true, but all I've done is sort of like part the kimono, lift the veil on the fact that the only way, like, they've already dug themselves too deep in with this current architecture that it would be like a complete rewrite. And it would take so much time and so much resources and so much money that's probably not worth it to them. So they kind of just want to keep band-aiding it until it's good enough and then call it a day. And honestly, if that's the truth, which I don't know, again, it's a possibility just from my dev experience, because that's honestly very commonly the answer to everything. It's like, we haven't fixed it because it's going to take too fucking long, and the people who are 100%. In charge haven't given us the thumbs up. But if he would say that, I would feel good, at least knowing that my analysis was correct. He understands it and says, you're right. But there are a bunch of reasons in which I'd probably agree with that we can't or won't either ever or now to do the thing. Then I would shut up about it.
And that's a good point. It's like, it's not like you're running around the community being like, all they have to do is hit Control-Alt-Delete and then flip this 1 and 0 and it's fixed. Like, you're very acknowledging of the fact that, like, the real answer could be like, that's going to take us $4 million and 2 additional years of work, and we don't want to do that. And you'd be like, yeah, that's probably a dumb idea. Don't do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're acknowledging that it's like, it could be too far gone. It's just, we would like to know if that's it or not, because it feels that way. Which actually,
so I can't know, unfortunately.
Of course. And that actually brings me to the next, like, so they were talking about, and I ask you because you know a little bit more about this stuff. Neither of us are like actual like game designers, but I don't know how much you've interacted with like server infrastructure and your dev stuff. But like, they were talking about testing out dynamic tick rate on servers. And that there were already servers live that had been testing 120 tick rate, and that those were in live servers for a small period of time, and they have been rolled back to iterate on that and based on what they learned from that. Now, my question is, how much does a higher tick rate matter if it's client authoritative?
Well, so yeah, that's
That's my
the right question.
Yeah.
That's the right question to ask. It's like we put a turbocharger on our car that has no wheels.
Yes.
Like
that was what my
turbocharger has diminished.
Yeah, yeah. That was my thought when they were talking about that. I was like, that sounds really cool, but like it doesn't.
I don't know.
If the server is refreshing faster and faster and faster and faster, but at the end of the day is asking my client, my computer, where the hell I am on the map, does it matter? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am not. The limitations of my understanding of netcode, I think, stop before I'm qualified to answer this question. But I will say that what I do know, my gut reaction instantly to what you were saying is, does it fucking matter if we still have all this movement bullshit that we have to deal with? Because I don't even know if I don't know if this happened before or after the last episode, but did I mention that I retested the side strafing?
We talked about doing that after the last episode, but I haven't talked.
So I did that.
Okay.
I got 5 people into Factory, and we went on East Coast servers, West Coast servers, at one point like Amsterdam servers. We did a couple other maps too, but pretty much on Factory, all of us were in, and it was exactly the same as last time, if not worse. Where there'd be like 5 or 10 minutes of like nothing, and then all of a sudden you'd see everybody moving, and then it would freeze, and then they would all catch up and then freeze, and then all catch up and freeze, and then all catch up, and then it'd be fine for 10 seconds, and then they'd freeze. It was like, and all of a sudden then you'd hear gunshots 10 seconds after. It was like, oh, clearly player scavs just spawned in, and so, and we had the player RTT values spike up, and so
all the same results.
Nothing has changed there. I don't know. The problem is that like I can tell, especially like when One Peg asked him the question, and whenever I bring it up, I can tell he like doesn't want to fucking talk about it anymore. I don't know why. It could just be that he like understands it's in a shitty spot and just kind of like they're overwhelmed and there's nothing they can do really. And if I knew that, right, like if that was communicated, I would handle all this differently. But I get the vibe that it's like, no, that's not the problem. This is it. We think that all those stutters are the client side stutters. Okay, why would then every single client stutter exactly the same amount of frames every time at the same time when somebody has a $600 PC and a $6,000 PC? Why would they both stutter for 7 frames exactly and have their player RTT values spike when player scav spawned in? It just like doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yep.
So I just want to. That's my biggest thing is I just want to know. I just want to know. Like
I know. And
does he not believe me? Have I not convinced him or not?
I know, and I get that I can understand how frustrating that would be. That it's like. It's not like we're trying, it's not like we feel like we have any sort of authority or we're trying to like beat a dead horse by talking about it so much. We're not trying to rag on the game. It's just that genuinely you've done a lot of research. I remember when you put that video out, it was like you were excited about, you had data that supported a hypothesis. And that's like, you have a hypothesis, you have data now that supports that. That's always the next step, is to be like, oh man, this could be valuable information. It's like, this wouldn't be the first time you've created some piece of content that's helped the game. So it's not like I know better than you battle state games. It's just like man, this could be an exciting find. I might have accidentally struck gold here. And so the frustration isn't that we're trying to like beat this dead horse or tell them how to make their game. It's just that like the feeling of like handing somebody a golden nugget and they're like, rejecting it. And it's like, why? Do you not need it? Is this not what you're looking for? Is there a different problem here that I'm unaware of? If you don't need it, that's okay. It's just, I'm just, you know what I mean? So I get it. Like it's
the way it feels is not like I'm handing him a golden nugget. It's like we are in a car that is like, we can't really see out the window very well. And Nikita's driving. I'm in the back seat, but like the back seat's on fire. And I'm like, hey, the back seat's on fire. And he's like, no, don't worry. It's just the carburetor. And it's like, but there's flames over here.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's like, I feel like I'm pointing something out that I think like, and he's like, no, that smell it's something else. Don't worry about it. It's like, oh, so I don't know.
Yeah. So, and it might just be back to what you said. It might just be like at this point, it's just a like wait and see. And maybe one day it'll spontaneously get better and they'll never talk about it and maybe acknowledge it. Or maybe it'll just be like this for forever. Or like you've said from the very beginning, it's likely that it's a completely different thing and they'll resolve it in a different way. You're just working with the information that you can gain access to. We all are. And it's that balance of, we're beta testers to test stuff out and provide feedback. And then the balance of you just let them make the game however they want. But it was just interesting. They were talking about servers for a little bit, dynamic tick rate, testing out 120 tick rate servers. Nikita said that the arena might be ETS ready by the end of the year. So they might start doing small scale testing of the arena, which they lumped that into that conversation because the last we heard about the arena was like, it's going to be a separate game you have to pay for. And it's going to be like,
I don't remember hearing that.
Yeah. On the last community podcast, he talked about it potentially being a separate game. And the reason being so that they could use that money for like top tier esports ready was the term he used, like server architecture. That was what it was talking about, implying that like the game's blown up so much, people want a top tier experience. So we might charge $15 for arena or $20 for arena. He didn't say how much. He said less than a standard version of the game. And then all that.
Dude, I would pay $15 if they only get a new infrastructure, because I don't care about the hardware.
Yeah.
If they could be running it on the fucking Large Hadron Collider network and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
We'd still experience the issues that we have today.
Yeah.
But if they could use that as the impetus for designing from the ground up a brand new netcode,
and then maybe one
like
day
software architecture, then fucking port it over to
Tarkov.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, like, the arena is it. I used to love, like, that was the thing I was so excited for.
Yeah.
Back when I enjoyed PvP and I felt like the game.
Yep.
Was more enjoyable. Now the arena is like the least interesting.
Yep.
Thing, but now I'm excited about it again. If there's any way that it could fucking help
if there's any way that they use it, like you were saying, as an opportunity to start fresh, work on something, and then have an A and B comparison. You know what I mean? Why does this work better than this? But he said potentially ETS ready by the end of the year, which is interesting. He talked about Streets, of course. He was asked about Streets, new Streets teaser trailer coming soon. That somebody asked him, is Streets still planned to come out in 2021? And he said the word hopefully, which means absolutely not, in my opinion. there's a 1% chance we see Streets in 2021. And that they want to release a supplemental map pre-Streets, and they want to release Lighthouse first. Were you there when they were talking about
that? No. I heard when he was like, hopefully by the end of the year. He said, like, I really hope that we get it done. And the way that I see that, like, if he was my engineering manager, I take that as like, it's entirely possible, but it's far enough away that there are enough unknown unknowns in between now and then that
100%.
I won't say I promise. If nothing goes wrong, then yes.
That's kind of what I was thinking. It's like, it would be a different thing if they were like, yeah, man, like we're polishing the map. We've got people playing it and we just really want to make sure it's perfect. So it'll probably come out this year. That's a different than like, I really hope so. That I'm like, you just want it out too. Like, I mean, of course they've delayed. I mean, they've scrapped Streets and rebuilt it. They are obviously passionate about it, which is why they keep working on it. But it's like, yeah, it wasn't like it's in final stages, the whole Cyberpunk. It's in final stage. We just want to polish it. We're going to push it a few weeks. No, this is like, hopefully, like, you know what I mean? They've been developing it for so long. So in my opinion, I think if it comes out this year, it'll probably be like Nikita's like, we got to get it out. How much do you have? You know what I mean? They won't know if this apartment complex doesn't make it in. Just freaking seal it up. You know what I mean?
If I had to paint a picture, I would guess that it's more along the lines of like, most of the shit's there, but there's some really weird behavior or bugs or performance issues that they have to work out, and then there's probably like 1 or 2 sections that need to be like
polished.
We need to design all of the cans of trash that are going to be in the corner over here, and I mean maybe that's all fleshed out. I don't know, but
well, he said 90% of the art team is working on streets. So, and he said that they've hired 25 new people in 2021. So they're scaling up, which is dope. And then Lighthouse Before Streets, which is super interesting. I'm all for it. You know what I mean? I'm all for, like, at this point, you know what I mean? We were supposed to get Streets by the end of last year. I'm just like cool with them doing their thing. I'm just excited.
It's got to be a performance thing.
A new map.
Does that not indicate that it's a performance thing? Because like,
I think it's both.
If they work on a new map, those resources he's been saying everybody's been on on Streets. So if everybody, like, if they're okay with all hands on deck over here, and then all of a sudden they're like, but we're also going to divert over here, it makes it seem like there's nothing more that like the artist or level designers can do. It's based on like the way that the game runs, and yeah, it just sounds like
for sure. But then he's always talking about how many level designers and artists are working on it. He's always talking about how much the art team. He's always talking about they've hired new level designers. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
But why would they work on a map that they literally haven't been talking about really, compared to this other map that they've had multiple teasers for?
I get it. Yep.
If it
wasn't a network thing.
If it wasn't not even necessarily network,
but
performance
it just
related.
Can't run more than 4 FPS.
Yeah, that to me seems like the most. Yeah, that seems like the most likely explanation.
I was definitely blown away that they talked about Lighthouse, because we've heard very little about Lighthouse. It hasn't been on the radar at all. They haven't mentioned they've been working on it. So to pop it up in the sense that Lighthouse is going to come out this year as a map to Streets, that means the window's like maybe at the earliest June and at the latest September. Because if they're going to release Streets in November, December, they're not going to release Lighthouse in October. You know what I mean? So it's like, how are you're telling me you're either going to bust this map out in 4 months, or you've been working on it. And if you've been working on it, then those people haven't been working on Streets, probably because the level designers don't have anything else to do on Streets. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm excited I'm so excited for all the maps. I don't care what order they come in. Of course, I want Streets. I want Streets as a content creator. I want Streets more because I know what that will do for Tarkov, and less because I want to play Streets. I want all the maps. I just know that if they get Streets, storyline quests, and customizable rigs all in point 13, which is what he wants to do, that's the beginning of the end for beta. And that just means more people come to the game. And from a content creation perspective, my gears start turning. But I don't care what order they release the maps in. I just want new maps. I just love I miss like those first few days on reserve, the first few weeks on labs. Like, I love it, dude. It's so dope. So
you need to finish all these sentences with ... because I'm bored. Or at least I would like. I'm excited for any map because I just want something fucking new to take my mind off of how sad I am all the
time. Lighthouse, I think, is connected to Shoreline. And I remember this a long time ago when somebody was just asking about all the maps. What's suburbs going to be like? What's town going to be like? What's streets going to be like? When they were talking,
didn't he say that like none of those fucking maps were going to actually...
Yes, they actually said that they cut a bunch of those maps, which makes me big sad. But also doesn't surprise me. But they talked about Lighthouse having a sniper scav boss that's actually like holed up in the lighthouse. And I just remember thinking that would be so dope.
Yeah, it's going to be so broken.
Yeah. I still love it.
Yeah. God, I hope that they're not like... The accuracy would need to be like... You need to hit 15% of your shots.
Yeah. Like
max. It can't be 85%.
No. Well, that's the thing. I was thinking about this the other day through the lens of like the places on custom and Shoreline where if you run past the barrier of the map, you get sniped. You know what I mean? Just like randomly. Like, I'd love it if you enter.
And they hit you 100%, right?
They hit you 100% because you're out of bounds. I'd love if the map was like you get to like the pier or whatever where the lighthouse is, and like there's like signs and like dead bodies and stuff like that. And once you cross
Big spotlight.
Yeah. And once you cross this threshold, shots start flying either with like a 10 to 15% accuracy or something where like he never hits you on the first two. So if you get caught out of rotation or if a scav pushes you out, he'll go boom, 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 and then he'll wax you. Or it's like super low accuracy, but you never know. Because I like the idea of trying to get to cover quickly and like advance on a map. You know what I mean? Like I have no idea. The map could look completely different than it does in my head. And it does 1,000,000%. But I just like that idea of like there's some sort of visual cue that this is the danger zone. And he's just, you know what I mean? And you maybe peek and you try and counter snipe, but you have such a small window. And if he can reposition up in the lighthouse, I just think it'd be cool. But we haven't, I mean, they talked about that like forever ago, and who even knows if that's still the plan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Lighthouse Before Streets 2021, hopefully. And then they talked a little bit about 12.11, which is going to be the factory expansion with the boss. And he made a quick note that the scav boss is going to have a hammer. I don't know what that means.
I don't
What
know.
if he
I'm just picturing Donkey Kong, like the old arcade Donkey Kong.
What if he
just chucks hammers?
He just waits behind the corners for you, and if you like sprint past him, he just right in the back of the head.
Maybe he meant the hammer, like HAMR optic.
Imagine. I was watching a video. I was watching a recap of the podcast, and over top of the talking head, there was old footage from the old trailers. And you remember one of the earliest trailers for the game where it's the Bears and the Usex fight in factory? That starts outside and they open gate 3. And I was like,
which I thought was customs. That's customs.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'd have to look again, but I'm pretty sure that factory is in the middle of customs.
Interesting.
I could be wrong on that. It's been so fucking long.
Because my thought was it would be cool if part of the expansion was like outside of the industrial, you know what I mean, with shipping containers, and it wasn't big, it was small. It was just used to move around or for spawns or something like that. But factory expansion, he didn't really touch on how big it's going to be. We talked about that a little bit. They talked about that they're implementing inertia, and that the goal is that at some point in 12.10 that can go to ETS and they test it, and that if it goes well that will be in 12.11. Which would be dope.
Yeah, please.
Which would be dope. And
Please.
It's one of those things where it's like, I want inertia no matter what. Inertia would help band-aid some of the like desync because people just couldn't move quick enough to get behind the wall. Well, you know what I mean? When you kill them or when they kill you. So that would kind of help doubly. I just think it's a game mechanic that's necessary, and it would probably help that not feel so severe because you can die far behind some walls. And then 12.11, they're hoping to migrate to Unity 2019, which I know nothing about. I don't know anything about like their specific. I mean, I understand why they're doing it, but I didn't know if there was any specific like
anything like meaningful.
Yeah,
or
we'll get to
noteworthy.
do this now. You know what I mean? Or like this will help us reach 20 players per map.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either.
Yeah, it makes sense to continue to do that because I'm sure just fundamentally there's more development tools in the newer versions of Unity, yada yada yada. But they're hoping to do that in 12.11 as well. They talked about. Somebody asked about something animation related, like healing others or something like that. Body dragging. Somebody asked about body dragging because of all the times that happens in the raid series where homie just grabs his buddy. And he was saying that that's part of an umbrella that they're working on called advanced animations, which would include things like body dragging, vaulting, climbing ladders, healing, and a friend, and swapping shoulders, which all of that sounds dope. Like all of that I'm in for in Tarkov. What are you looking at?
Sounds dope. Can't wait to see it in action.
Can't wait to try to vault something and end up in like a handstand on it and just
I'm just too jaded to get excited about anything anymore, I guess, because it feels like everything that I get excited about either never happens or
for sure.
happens.
I get it.
So
I get it. I was just talking to Geeks. I was playing with him, and I was like, every time there's a new podcast, I get equally as happy and sad because the kid in me that just loves this game so much, like, can't help but like sit there watching these podcasts and like grin ear to ear and be like imagining like dragging my friend and then CMSing him because he's unconscious in the middle of a fight. I can't want that any more than I already do. That just sounds amazing. But then I just immediately be like, well, when the hell is that going to happen? You know what I mean? 3 years from now, when you're working on Russia 2028 and it's DLC and there's only 2,000 people playing the game. Like, I get it. So I can't help but get excited, but I also get equally as sad and depressed. I just try not to show it.
Don't fool me once. Shame on you.
Yeah.
Fool me 687 times.
Just shame at that point.
Shame on Twitch chat.
And then this was interesting that he was talking about implementing a low ready stance similar to DayZ. He said it would work like DayZ. I don't think he actually meant like the keybinds and mechanics, but just that as you run around, you don't have your gun up. You can shoulder your weapon. That will start a stamina drain that's slight. And then you can fully ADS, which would start a more, a harder stamina drain. Essentially.
What would that really buy us?
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody asked that and it was like, I was like, that's really cool. But then it was like, why? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's more about like,
maybe it takes longer to aim down sights.
Yes. I think it's more about the movement. I think it's adding a step between if you want to move quickly, then your gun has to be down. Like think about how many times people sprint step in a fight, sprint step upstairs, sprint step around the corner. And if coming out of that sprint step, you have to engage another key to raise your weapon, it would help with that little bit of AD. That plus inertia really could change the way close quarters battles happen, pushing you towards wanting to hold an angle. Because inertia would mean if somebody peeks, they can't immediately fall back. And if they peek wide, they've got to raise their weapon. You know what I mean? So I think that's the thing.
That gets me fucking excited. That right there gets me excited.
I think it's the subtlety of that, of like adding an extra step. And then you could argue the immersion of running around this open field. You wouldn't have your gun up the whole time. But I think it's more that kind of thing. But it depends on how they do it because I freaking hate the combat in DayZ so much.
Is it related to the low ready stuff?
I mean, it's partially because I've never played a game with a low ready, so it's like my brain explodes having to think about that. You know what I mean? Like, and just hoping that the keys, I just can't separate how bad DayZ's like keybinds are. You know what I mean? But so, I mean, I think that could be cool. They were talking about that because they were talking about how kind of not OP, but like how strong point fire is in Tarkov because...
Yeah, they were leaning into that, man. I was kind of like, let's fucking move on, but I get it.
Yeah, because you can just swing around, mouse wanting whatever you want, and you're moving at full speed. You know what I mean? You're walking full speed. You know what I mean? That might be part of it too. Might not just be a stamina drain, but you've got maybe 10 dots on that thing. And if you're at full 10 walking around at low ready and you go to 7 at high ready and 6 at ADS or something like that. So, additional keybinds, movement penalties, stamina penalty, and inertia could mean close quarters battles. Not even close quarters battles, even back to what you were saying, where actually hugely back to what you've been saying a lot recently, where you're inside, you're moving slow, you hear the stampede of a 2-man, you ADS and hole up. Those guys can't be sprinting into the door of reserve, stop, turn, ADS, aim down sights, and then kill you if you're, you know what I mean? So between inertia and all those mechanics, so not even just close quarters battles like factory, resort, or something like that, but even just additionally engaging a fight if you're the one tactically setting up. All of those things hurt the guy who's running around the map recklessly, which is a good thing. I think most of us agree.
For sure. You know what I had? You'll have to let me know when, because I think we could probably have a decent discussion. But I have an idea that occurred to me right before.
Okay.
Right before. You'll have to remind me. But yeah, I see there's a couple more things.
Okay. I mean, they're super, super quick things. They talked about adding a streamer mode, which they got in the weeds on in the wrong way, in my opinion.
Oh, I missed that too. Jeez.
So Glorious E talked about a streamer mode, which makes sense. This dude farms labs. He is a god, right? He wants two things. Basically, when he brought it up, he was like, I want, if VoIP is in the game, ability to turn it off, which I think he just hadn't heard those conversations before, because of course there's a way to turn it off. And he wants, when he dies, you know, the way Fortnite did it, I don't know how they play it, it's just like player 4593 killed you. And that could be anyone in the world with streamer mode on. So
it hides the name.
Yes. So when you die, so if you die and I killed you.
Of the person who killed you.
Yes. It doesn't say I am Pizza Man kill you. It would say player 45392. And that could be anyone in the world who has streamer mode enabled. So if you've got 3 people left, if your 3-man is in lab still with Glorious E, you can't be like, that's Glorious E, and then stream snipe him because you have no idea who killed you. That's what he was talking about. They said yes. And then things got weird where he was talking about, like, they were talking about, not weird, but they were talking about like hiding ping as well. And then they were talking about having a special, you know, you have the crown next to your name if you have EOD, like a special symbol next to your name if you're a streamer, which in my opinion completely counteracts the streamer mode. That's bringing attention to it. And then Nikita even talked about like high profile streamers getting their own custom badges next to their name, which even further, like if Pestily had a Pestily mask next to his name, no matter what he called himself, everyone would just see that and know it was Pestily. So they got weird.
Where would you, you'd only see that on the player list.
I have no idea. So it got weird, but I was trying to like reel it back to like, okay, he said yes to a streamer mode. I think that'd be good. They could hide the ping if they want. They can hide the server code if they want. My camera hides the server code, but I know a lot of people's don't, and they have to put something. That's fine. But all I really want is hide my name when I kill somebody if I have streamer mode on. Because that's huge for anybody that gets stream sniped. Dude, and stream sniping is, I was thinking about this yesterday. I never think about stream sniping. I never hide my screen. I never do anything. I'm always like, people are, and guys like, sometimes guys like Landmark will call it out quite frequently. And the other day, man, I was really just like, damn, you do get stream sniped a lot. I was watching Landmark, dude, and he got into raids on Shoreline where, like, you know where you spawn all the way by tunnels by the ambulances? He would get into fights.
Yeah.
He would walk
at like the bottom of that hill.
Yes, 200 yards up towards cottages. And I was watching raids where he killed 7 PMCs and they all had slicks and exfils and HKs. And I'm like, I play Shoreline all day long.
You never see
That's
that.
not real. Not out there. You're going to, if like, I don't run into 7 players hardly. Not, and never are they all slick meta HK guys, and it's never there. It's it's at the freaking resort. So like outside of labs, you can see it where it's like, dude, he's pulling so many slicks from raids, and I'm killing level 12s with 1 key in their gamma. You know what I mean? Running to 310, trying to get a Bitcoin. And I know he plays more than me, but it's like, ugh.
That's what happens when you have a community that is large enough that there are enough really shitty people.
Yes.
When he's got 10,000 viewers.
Yeah.
All it's going to take is 0.0x% of them to know his general region.
Yep.
And to hit
and know what
enter raid at around the same time. Even if there's 2 or 3 squads that do that every time, that basically means that 95% of his raids, there's somebody gunning for him. Just because he is popular, and you know the same thing. That's why I changed my name, because it was Veritas for a while. Yeah. I just changed it yesterday, because even if they're not stream sniping, it changes the way I play. Because if I kill one and then all of a sudden they're quiet, I'm like, this is enough time that they've pulled up that they could pull up the stream, say, oh,
It's
that is
hard
the
not
real
to, yeah.
Veritas. Oh my God. And then start making call outs. So even if they don't, it's still, I'm like, now they know where I am.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't play tactically,
Yeah.
even if whether it's true or not.
So they were talking about streamer mode. It got into the weeds, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, I was like, hey, they said they were working on it. I'm excited for that because I think that's a good thing. I'm still not super worried about it because I'm a smaller creator, but it was just the other day I was like, man, it's real. I don't think it happens to me anywhere near the scale it does in Landmark because of that exact same thing. Streaming to 10,000 people is a whole different ballgame. But I was just like, yeah, this is probably a good investment of time. There's a lot of streamers out there, you know, where their marketing budget basically, like, this is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
And then he just super briefly touched on like adding some dynamic economy events where like there would be some sort of lore around like Prep Wars out of Corund armors or all ammunition, or there's a shortage of this or that, which is cool, but without them getting into like super duper how that would work, I was like, like, you know what I mean? Like
that's what happened with the gas.
The fuel, exactly. Like, but that's the thing is like, I love that idea from a 10,000 foot view. Like, I love a dynamic economy. Oh, we're out of this. Like, that's cool. But nobody was happy about the gas shortage. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like, it was just one of those things where there was no lore behind it. There was no message from Jaeger saying like, I'm running out of gas, buy it all up. It was just like, wait, did BSG delete the gas from the game? Like, and then
or like our bots stealing the gas all of a sudden. Like nobody knew what was going on. Yeah.
So. But yeah, let me hear your idea.
So, well, actually, real quick before I say the idea, because this is just an update. Remember how I had convinced Nikita after talking with him I sent him a list of all those ammo, like the mid-tier ammo,
yeah.
and to have him like increase the limits on some, and then make some of the mid-tier ammo like FMJ 4.6 unlimited, and then like a couple weeks later, there were limits on them again.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, I don't know what the fucking reasoning was why this was reverted, because it was actually like nobody complained, and it was just a nice quality of life thing where it's like, now I don't have to spend 2,400 rubles on shit ammo anymore because I just died in 2 raids with an MP7 and lost all the ammo, right? Yep. And then all of a sudden it just like hit me. I'm like, what the fuck? It's been like 2 months. I never really got an explanation as to why they did this. So finally I pinged Nikita and was like, hey, like, why did you guys put the limits back on? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do that. So question mark.
Somebody did.
Either it was a mistake or it was a version control thing where they accidentally like reintroduced some old stuff, or he made the change and forgot about it, or somebody else made the change for some other reason.
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to see, but I would really love to not have limits on, like, the one time I wanted to run 9mm yesterday, I was running the fucking PP 19 for the first time. I was running factory. I got like 6 factory raids in a row. And I was literally spending 2,400 rubles around on not even 7N1
on AP.
but AP, because I couldn't buy any other ammo anywhere else. And it's like, and I just happened to have done viewer kits a few days ago, so of course I went from nothing to 8 million rubles overnight, even though I died instantly every time because everybody was like, here's a docs case full of Bitcoin. And it's like, fucking, well, okay, now I guess I can afford it, but yeah,
it's, the ammo thing is so interesting because it doesn't matter how any ammo performs relative to any other gun or caliber. All that matters is that if it's the best ammo in that caliber, it's just 5,000 rubles around.
Not even the best. If it's the second or third tier,
and then the
it's
second
more
best,
than 2,000 around.
Yeah, and then if it's the second best, it's 2,300 rubles around, because FMJ's 2,000 rubles around if you don't get the restock. AP 6.3 is 2,500 rubles around.
Dude, 995 hit 500 back in the day. It was like,
bro, I remember
that. It was like, what the fuck is going on with these prices?
Dude, I remember when Labs came out, dude, and I remember like people like sitting on the flea market like, dude, if you get a 60 round mag full of a Golnik, you can sell that for like 400 rubles a round. And it was like, I'm printing money. You know what I mean? And now it's like,
now Bitcoin's
oh,
700K.
M61 is 11K a round? Sure. Like, it's nuts, bro. It's crazy. It's
yeah,
crazy.
and just as easily as it comes, that means that if you don't happen to not have it, then you want to build a gun, and then you have to spend 300,000 on one raid's worth of ammo that you might not shoot. You know, it's like, well,
bro,
that's disgusting.
Wild. It's wild. That's why I basically cycle through a specific set of guns, and I'm always just frequently checking the traders. I get that I'm in a privileged position because my day job is to make YouTube videos, so I'm got Tarkov open a lot, and I play 5 days a week for 6 hours, so I have Tarkov open a lot. But I have an ammo case full of FMJ and APSX. I have an ammo case full of 7N31. I have an ammo case full of SS190, and I didn't pay flea market prices for any of it. Like, it's just when I get lucky and it's in stock, I buy as much as I can. And after doing that for a week, when I want to run a P90, I've got plenty of SS190, and when I'm about halfway through it, I just switch to a different gun. And I feel really bad for people who it's just like, bro, I had a really rough work week. I'm super excited to sit down and play Tarkov for a few hours. I got this MP7 off this Chad the other day. I'm going to run it. Oh, FMJ is 3,000 rubles a round. Like, it just sucks. It just sucks. It's so weird.
Yeah, the way that like my best chance of enjoying Tarkov and the whole like raid, die, gear up, raid, die, gear up, raid, die, gear up cycle is by like building 5 kits in a row. Yeah. And I can't do that because there's limits of 3 to 5 on everything, and then the ammo is only enough for 1.5 raids from the traders, and then it's 10 times the price. But this segues into the idea that I had earlier, and again, this isn't people don't need to freak out. This is just one of those things like, I wonder how this would change things. Imagine if the flea market was split up. There's a million ways you could do it. You can do it regionally. In my opinion, I think the least controversial thing would be you just get a fucking random number and put you in like 5 buckets or something. But think about what would happen if now the supply isn't the entire world. The supply would be some subset of the world, and each little market kind of would have its own, almost like everybody has their own local market, right? But that just makes me think like, what would that do? Because that's actually, it seems as if it's like partial steps toward the thing that nobody wanted to do, but we all talked about, which was remove the flea market. Versus, no, we're not going to make any changes to the flea market. It seems like a middle ground where it's like, make the flea market not one giant thing so that there's always infinite everything. That would actually add scarcity, potentially, without changing the loot.
Interesting.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that would be...
And then it also could potentially help RMT, too, because you can't buy and sell to anybody at any time.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I've literally like never even conceived of that before. Like, that's a completely, it's simple. I'm not saying it's complex. I'm just saying like I'd never considered actually like kind of regionally not locking it, but just breaking it up so that there just isn't an absolute infinite supply 24/7. And we've talked about how that just drives prices to whatever equilibrium that most people, you know what I mean? The guys who are willing to pay the most, where does it level out for them? And then, so that would be super interesting. Because then
the problem is that like so many things are, I think, underpriced. Like a lot of armor is underpriced.
Yeah.
But the ammo is way overpriced. So it would like make ammo go way up because the supply would go down.
Yeah.
But maybe it would actually make like taking out some nice tier 5 undamaged armor is like now I can
that's
sell it.
Found in raid. It's like, oh, I want to take that because that's money.
Yeah.
That would be super interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. That's something to toss around in our heads, and maybe it's funny because that's actually something that like was asked a million times when it first came out. Is like, I can't find it in my region, or everything's expensive in my. It's like this one fucking market, like bozo, and now it's like, what if it?
Wait a minute, let's go back to that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so how would they break that up? Like, do you think it would just be like geographical regions, like?
I can think of two ways just off the top of my head. One would be geographically, although it gets complicated if you have like VPNs that change your location, quote unquote, or whatever.
Okay.
Which may or may not be relevant. I don't know. Yeah. But you'd want it to be that you can't change it.
Yeah.
Necessarily. Another way of doing it could be literally every account gets given a random number from 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 or whatever, and they just get put in buckets. And it could even be that like once a month they shake it up and give you another random number. So or maybe it's every 6 months or something. I just feel like there could be interesting, almost like sub economies. Where like maybe in EU or in like Sector 7, it just so happens that there's a ton of Chads there, so it's got a different economy than like over here where I don't know. I just think it's an interesting thing to consider. Because all it would do is it would reduce the supply of things in the game, which I think in most cases would be, there's a threshold where like decreasing the supply to the point where the prices go up, but it's still infinite, sucks. But decreasing it to where not everybody has access to all the stuff all the time. So I'd almost feel like maybe you'd have to make it so small that,
you'd have there's like 20
people
regions.
In your market.
Yeah.
Like 200 regions, like.
I get what you're saying though, where it's like, if each account was just given a number, no matter what servers you're using, then you can't get around it. And then, if every month or two everybody got a new number, it would make the economy feel a little bit more dynamic. But it just comes down to the whole, like, if you've got, it would definitely help so not everybody has access to everything all the time, but it would just always come down to like, but I guess that's just how it is, right? In a flea market, the richest always get to buy at whatever price.
Well, the rich don't go to the fucking flea market.
They don't mind. Yeah, well, in real life, they don't go to the flea market, but like, it's just so many people. Me and Geeks were talking about this, that I would love to hear stats on the average player level and the average player ruble count. Because I think sometimes in my head, I'm like, everybody has access to everything. It's all, everybody can pay this or that. And I just would love to, they don't have any obligation but I would just
I was thinking about this too, actually, adding a poll system into like Battle Buddy, where I can, if I'm ever curious, I have 500,000 players.
Bro. Yeah.
That I can just have they tap a thing and, I don't know, that would be cool, because you'd have people that would lie in either direction, I'm sure, but it would still give you a decent sampling of like, I want to know what everybody's survival rate is, and I want to know what everybody's current cash level is. Yep. And then also like, because then you can get an idea. All we ever hear about is I see my numbers, and then I look at streamers. Yeah. And then people who are the loudest in Twitch chat. As far as I'm concerned, everybody has 10 billion rubles.
Yes. And
it could just be that the people who are like me, sitting at 1 or 2 million rubles, until they max out their Bitcoin farm and get Kappa and whatever, just always have enough to do a few raids, and that's all it takes. Maybe that's more common. I don't know. But
I did. So
I feel like I'm in the minority.
I know that my community doesn't represent the player base as a whole, but I threw up a YouTube poll, and just a few hours ago, we're almost at 7,000 votes. And the poll was, how much money do you have in Tarkov? And the options were 0 to 5 million, 5 to 10 million, 10 to 20, or 20 plus.
Everybody said 10 to 20.
46%, 0 to 5 million.
Okay.
Yep. See that? And that's exactly it.
That just says your audience sucks and they need to get good.
That's why I make bigger guys. No, I talk about the game exactly like you were saying. I engage with my stuff, my friends, my streamer friends, and the streamers I watch. And when I talk about the game, when I talk about things that need to change, I talk through the lens of a guy with a max Bitcoin farm and 30 million rubles, because that's what I have. And I was talking to geeks the other day, and I was like, man, I really want to know. Now, I'm interested to see, because this will get up to probably like 15 to 20,000 votes over the next few days. Although statistically, I don't think that lion's share is going to change. Now here's the kicker though. 46% 0 to 5 million rubles. The second biggest category was 20 plus at 23%. And I think that's at least somewhat telling of Tarkov.
I want raid counts. The best part would be if the number of raids played for all the people that were lower was like some high or mid number, and then all the other ones were like a much lower number because it's just all Bitcoin.
Or playing
or
the flea market or whatever. So I think now, once again, we're working with really crude numbers here, but I think that is telling of the whole there's no middle class in Tarkov. Like, you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of people. I think there's a lot more people than we think, a lot more people than I think, I should say, that haven't crested that hill. Anybody that's played Tarkov for a while, you play it, you get really excited about it. You're in the honeymoon phase of the game. You love the concept of the game. And you're just getting absolutely hammered. And then there comes a time where you're like, is this worth the abuse? You know what I mean? And you're like, not really, you don't feel like you're getting better and you're getting frustrated. And we all exist on the other side of that hill where we've mastered the mechanics enough that we know, like, if you got down to 1 ruble today, if you really wanted to, you would know how to get back up. You have a few things in your stash you could sell. You'd play a certain way. You'd do some runs. You'd do some scav runs. Veritas would have no problem getting back up if you really wanted to. You're on the other side of the hill, and I think there's a lot more people than I think that haven't made it there, and they're sitting on 1 million rubles going like, why does everybody talk about it so easy to make money in this game? I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that there's a lot more people than I think that aren't over the hill yet. And then everyone on the other side has 30 million rubles. You know what I mean?
The way that I think about it is, for me, it's hard to consistently make money in the game and enjoy the gameplay. Because I don't want to fucking play the mini game, the hideout mini game, and I don't want to, like, I want to kill people and fight them and take their shit and go out with it. I don't want to search through safes and whatever. And it's been a very long time since that was lucrative.
Yes.
For sure. If when I'm playing how I want and not paying attention to money, one day I look and I've got 50,000 rubles. But the other part of that is that I did viewer kits the other day, and literally everybody was memeing, and except for like 1 or 2 of them were all like top tier shit, and they all had like, here's a docs case with like SAS and, you know, like shit like, oh, okay, well, so I got up to I got up to like 6 or 7 million, and I had maybe a couple million, because 2 or 3 million now is trivial when you don't play the game for 1 day. You've just printed 2.1 million rubles in Bitcoin. So yeah, I mean, I at one point I ended up at like 10 million, because it's like easier to make money when you have money. Mm-hmm. So I think part of it is like a little bit of a snowball. Yeah. I don't know.
So I just found it interesting that the 50% said under 5 million, when, you know, all I talk about is how easy it is to make money and how just get the Bitcoin farm up, bro. So it's just interesting, man. Interesting data, interesting stuff. Like, I think, I don't know. I don't know how we got here from the flea market thing. It's just, it's an interesting concept. I don't know. I've thought about, like, what if, I mean, it's, once again, it's not a good idea, and I will get flack for it, but I've talked about, like, what if the flea market was just not, you just couldn't sell ammo on it? Or even potentially, like,
I would love that, man.
Lethal, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like guns and ammo weren't flea marketable. You know what I mean? Like, you could write that into the lore that, like, it, you know, the flea market exists on a safe zone. You could write it into the freaking lore where it was a non-hostile zone for you to sell. Not even that, if you wanted to.
Like, the flea market is run by Ragman and Prep or whoever, these dudes who are like mafia dudes, and they're the ones who sell you guns and ammo and whatever. You don't fucking compete with me. You guys can sell your little trinkets here and there and your bullshit if you want the stuff.
Dude, we've talked about this before, how like there's no way Proper would keep selling this ammo at 100 rubles a round if everybody was selling it on a flea market in town for 10,000 rubles a round. Proper would go like, what? And he would start selling it for 10,000 rubles a round.
And breaking kneecaps.
So if those guys were in charge and they were saying, no, like, you know what I mean? You don't get to sell, munitions on the flea market. Exactly. When you get screws, you don't sell them to Purpore. You used to sell them to therapists and she'd give you pennies for them. Now you sell them on the flea market. Like, that makes sense to me. Go get some loot and sell it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But then it would just, because that, like, it comes back to that. If we just raise the price of ammo on the flea market, all the guys, the other second largest majority of the players with 30 million plus, it doesn't change how they play. They just keep buying it and winning. So raising the price doesn't do anything.
The rich get richer.
Yeah, the rich get richer. So I was just tossing around ideas with like, what if we just took it off? And if it doesn't matter, like I want to kneecap you too. If you've got, not you, like if you've got 100 million rubles, I want to kneecap you as well. You want to run 7 and 31 and you don't have any? Tough. Run a different round or run a different gun. You don't get to just run whatever you want whenever you want. You know what I mean? So I'd like to play an ETS with that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's holes. I'm sure that I'm going to get 4 Discord DMs that are 6 paragraphs long about why that wouldn't work. I'd like to just play it and test it. Because then you get to keep the flea market, which BSG has been made very clear they're not getting rid of.
The casual players they can craft shit that they buy from the flea market for the constituent parts, craft it and then sell it again on the flea market. Like you can play the pacifist mini game if you want and never have to fucking worry about anything. And then the Uber chads with infinite money when they get boxes of 995, rather than turn that into something else that turns into more money and more money and more money.
Yeah.
Then they run the 995 and then that 995 is gone. It's not just everybody always has it all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the other piece, is that the more casual players get 995 and they're like, I can use this, but I'm still going to lose because I have trash tier everything else and I suck.
Yeah.
Because and now they'll use it and it'll be a little bit more balanced because it'll be in the hand of like an average player.
Yeah.
It won't just be the poor people mining the gold to the rich people. Is basically what it is.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Exactly. A consistent way to make money is to craft 7 and 31 and sell it on the flea market. So the poor people do that for money and the rich people buy the ammo. And then when that poor person who sold all his 7 and 31 for money to buy a kit, he goes into a raid and he dies to the guy he sold the top tier ammo to. And it's like, I remember, countless times people and streams and even on the podcast, we've had the, get rid of the flea market discussion. And it's always so interesting. Like, that's why ultimately why I arrived at an idea where what if it was just non-lethals on the flea market? Because I did a little experiment on stream and I was like, okay, if you're in here and you're poor, how many times are you going on the flea market to buy slicks? How many times are you going on the flea market to buy 7 and 31? And everyone's like, never. I don't think I've ever bought a slick. There's this weird perception that if we touch anything on the flea market, it hurts the casuals. And we're in this weird like Stockholm syndrome with the flea market where the casuals want to preserve the flea market exactly how it is. It's because of how they make money, but they never buy the stuff that I want to take off the flea market. And it's because they sell it. Always complain about dying to people with that stuff. So it's like you could just sell, you could craft gunpowder and still sell the gunpowder. Like there would still be an economy. Green gunpowder on the flea market would be really expensive because you can craft 7 and 31 with it. But you couldn't. But here's the kicker. If it takes an hour and a half to craft 7 and 31, that doesn't mean you get to do it in every raid. Because if you go into a raid and die with all of your 7 and 31, you have to wait an hour and a half if you're the rich guy. Or You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? So it's like there would still be an economy about those people being able to like find stuff that you use to craft that or craft things and then sell it. But it's like, whenever I talk about it, people that don't buy the things on the flea market, I want to take off the flea market, complain about changing the flea market. And I'm like, this would
the reason
help
why is
you.
because that's the only way that they can make money from a slick is not by wearing it and killing people.
Yes.
It's by selling the slick.
Yeah.
Like, which I get. Like, I literally almost never want to run any top tier anything because it never feels worth it. It's so much more worth it to sell the stuff. I literally have, like, in my thick item case, I literally have a bunch of just hex grids and slicks that I haven't touched because I don't. Whenever I wear them, I just pretty much insta die, and it's irrelevant.
It just makes getting one tap to the head by M61 feel worse.
Yeah, and I kill groups of Giga Chads by wearing the fucking level
rig.
4 scav rat rig that everybody gives me shit for, and it's like because it doesn't matter because they're using M61, so my armor is made of butter. I'd rather have shitty butter than a really expensive butter. You know. So I mean, I get that. But at the same time, I like when I'm forced to use something, like if I take out something, like a stack of 995 in my gamma and I die, now it's like, now I actually have a mag of 995 I get to use,
100%.
which I never use. So
that's a great example because I'm the same way. I only ever use 995 when I get about 300 rounds of non-found in raid, and I'll start loading my first mag with it. And I'm like, hey, I'm not expecting anything from this because I didn't pay 18 USD a round for it from Peacekeeper, but I'm just excited to run it. So, like I said, I'm sure there's holes in it. I think it would be interesting. I think it could fit into the lore. I think it could help casual players. It would force people with bajillions of rubles to use something different because they don't have the ammo or that whatever they want to run. It might make armor feel a little bit better because if not everybody's running top tier, then your armor might tank 1 or 2 shots. And I would just be interesting to see the ripple effects. I can't say that all the ripple effects would be good, but I would be really interested to see the ripple effects of making it like a non-lethal, non-munitions flea market. I don't know.
Do and make it not regional but subset, whatever.
Because that's the other thing. The other thing is like scav bosses and raiders. Those things cannot exist with a functional economy in Escape from Tarkov. Day 1 of the wipe, I go to customs. I kill Rashala. I pull 3 Altons. It's like, I can, you know what I mean? Day 2, I'm level 10. I can sell them for this. Or I get Killa, mags full of Vigolnik. As long as the flea market exists, on day 2 of the wipe, forever, in perpetuity, you will be able to buy the best stuff in the game this day of the wipe. That's just how it is, because raiders exist and because scav bosses exist. But scav bosses are some of my favorite encounters. The PvE, man, when you get Gluhar and you take 20 minutes eliminating all 7 of his dudes, or you're rotating through dorms on, like, that's some of my favorite things. So, but they just can't exist. You're going to be seeing Killa armors day 1 of the wipe if you can sell it on the flea market. You're going to be seeing a Golnik on day 1 of the wipe if you can sell it on the flea market. So it would just be interesting to see because it would kind of fix that without having to change all that and like change the loot and change the raiders and change the scav bosses. I'm getting heated now. I'm just the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. I feel like it'd be a good idea. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you're just another streamer trying to ruin the game.
Yeah, I am. I hate this game. I want it to die so I can go play Call of Duty.
Fucking knew it, dude.
I knew it. The long con.
I knew it this whole fucking time, dude.
Oh. All right. Well, that's Tarkov. You got any other shenanigans?
There was something I wanted to mention and I forgot. I know I got merch coming pretty soon. Got a little preview of a couple of things. These are some like tests. I'm trying to figure out colors and stuff, but it's like a nice little.
The outline almost looks metallic.
It is. It's not. Yeah. It's like an applique, whatever the fucking It's a word that I've
That's
never heard anybody say,
sick.
but only seen written out. So yeah, got a bunch of other shit that I'm working on, guitar picks and stuff. And then once we sort that out, then I want to potentially look at sourcing the same. This is one of my buddies from real life, my best friends growing up. Trying to get him into this space, and then we'll look into doing Pogcast merch potentially. Figure out what we want to do there. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, what the fuck are you doing?
Come on.
Yeah, and I got my fucking PC built. So, and it's been shipped.
Bro, I saw like the picture that you posted on YouTube. That thing looks. Congratulations, by the way. I haven't said that yet on the Artesian sponsorship. That's dope. And that
man.
PC is
all white. I got a
noise.
I ended up doing, it was a 3090, but I ended up basically saying rather than a 3090, I went with a white 3080, and then ended up basically they did a giveaway for a 3070 to the community that was there at the time.
Oh, okay.
So it was like, I'll take a little bit of a downgrade. It's probably not going to make much of a performance difference. It looks cooler, and we'll get to do a giveaway of a fucking another graphics card. So it was a win-win, but it's just all white RGB for fucking days. The white graphics card. Oh,
that's so sick. So you said it shipped?
It shipped,
It's
yeah.
on its
So
way.
hopefully, yeah, dude. I got to look into a couple of desks I was looking at, and got to figure out how I want to lay everything out again.
Bro, tell
I'm
me
so excited.
whatever desks you're looking into, man. I'm building a stream PC, and I was thinking about getting a new desk because I have a freaking particle board IKEA thing, and everywhere that I have stuff mounted, my microphone, my monitors, it's like crunching
crumbling?
into the desk.
Oh yeah, that's every fucking. Literally, I had the same thing. The Linman desk
yes,
or whatever.
100%. So
That's what all these are. Yeah. And
whatever
then, like,
freaking desk I've been looking, bro. It's like.
So
It's like
I
spend
reached out to
$1,000 on a standing desk, buy a countertop and DIY it into a desk, or
No, I reached out to a company and we were chatting. They haven't answered me in a couple of days, but we were talking on Twitter, and they were like, "What do you want to do?" And I was basically thinking like, you guys could send me, like, I was gonna buy 2 desks.
Mhm.
And then they're in the, like the $300 range, but like it seems to be really well done and worth it, and have a lot of features that matter to me. I don't need a standing desk.
Yeah.
But I want like some cable management stuff, and I want them to be made out of like high quality materials, and the whole like mouse pad and everything, the size, that all matters to me. So I kind of don't know what to say. I'm in that weird like newish content creator thing where they're like, well, what kind of partnership do you want? And I kind of just want to be like,
give me free
you guys
stuff.
give me 2 fucking desks, give me a discount code, and when people ask me, I'll be that much more excited and positive about the brand, assuming that, you know, the desk is actually nice.
Yeah.
And then I can give them a discount. It seems like a win-win.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because at the end of the day, it seems like, if like 3 people buy desks using your code, then they've made, you know what I mean, or like 4 or 5
I'm sure the
people.
desk probably costs $60
Exactly.
in parts or whatever.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So it just
Yeah. So it's one of those things, like, I don't want to fucking shout anything out.
well, DM me so I can start looking at them, because I have been stressing about
All right, I'll send you a link.
adding an additional monitor to my setup, and then my whole desk just folding in half overnight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like stressed about it. So I freaking need a new desk. I'm also just stressed. I'm building a stream PC, and I've never done the whole 2 PC thing, and it just feels like it's going to be.
You have a Go XLR, right?
I do.
Do you have a capture card in your stream rig?
I purchased one. I've purchased all the parts. I'm going to assemble it soon.
Fucking easy peasy.
Okay.
Trivial. Well, I can help you. Let me know.
Okay. I will. But yeah, cool. Circle back. Subscribe to the new YouTube channel. We've been getting there, man. We're like pushing 2,000 subscribers now. People are finally moving over, which is great. You said this, and then I've noticed it too, that it's just such a positive place. The people that subscribe there are the people that genuinely like us and want that content. So the comments are always so. It's good. It's good stuff.
It's good.
It's good. But yeah, guys, thanks for hanging with us. Thanks for another episode. We will be back. This will be live Monday or Tuesday on all those places. We'll be back here next Thursday with another episode. We got to get back now that like the wipe has trickled down. We got to get back to like having some guests. We had a bunch of people in the docket, but then like when Wipe hit, everybody's just grinding. You know what I mean? It was Wipe, it was Christmas, it was New Year's, everything kind of halted. So maybe we can talk about getting some guests back on and stuff like that. So that I think would be pretty cool. But
hell yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys for hanging, and we will definitely see you on the next one.
Peace.